Is playing golf with this and this actually anywhere close to the real thing? Well, the answer might surprise you. Today we're talking about Golf Plus for the Meta Quest and whether or not it's the most immersive, best golf experience you can have not on the golf course. If you've ever even had a passing interest in VR golf, keep watching today's video. I think you're really gonna dig it. All right, so today we are talking about Golf Plus for the Meta Quest system. You can use it with either the new Meta Quest 3 or the older Meta Quest 2. Right now, I know there's a bunch of you that are like, I just saw that thing in your head. That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And for you, I just want to tell a quick story before we jump into this review that may make this whole thing make a little more sense for you and understand why people are so excited about this. It was a little over 2 years ago. We were just getting out of the crux of the pandemic, and I was down at Bandon Dunes playing golf with one of their head pros. And on the 11th green of the Bandon Dunes golf course, he says, "Hey, have you ever heard of Golf Plus, like the VR golf game?" And in fact, I had, because that was one of the ways during the pandemic that I kept in touch with friends. It was playing golf in the software that has now become Golf Plus with my friends. He's like, "Yeah, it's been kind of a bummer. For the last few years, I haven't been able to golf with my dad because he lives across the country. But twice a week, we play golf in VR, and it's just like we're walking down the fairways together in real life." And I heard that, and I was like, man, that's pretty powerful. And if you can get the golf part even like halfway right, then that's a great way to socialize and keep in touch with people that you can't see on a regular basis. But the question is, did they get the golf part right? And does it feel like real golf? And is it worth spending at least $200 or at least $500 if you get the Quest 3 to play this game? So we're gonna cover all of that. But I just wanna say, even if you've never thought about VR and you think that that's the stupidest thing ever, maybe it's not as stupid as you think. All right, so what's Golf Plus? Well, Golf Plus is essentially the best VR golf experience that's available for the average person. So it's only available on the Quest platform, so you have to have a Quest 2 or 3, and you can play full rounds of golf on some of the best golf courses in the world. You can compete against your friends with leaderboards, you can have daily challenges, and you can even go to Topgolf. That's right, you can even play virtual Topgolf with your friends from the comfort of your living room or office or wherever you might be. Now, obviously, if you've never used Golf Plus before or never used VR before, the biggest question you likely have is, does it feel like real golf? So let's get that out of the way right now. And the answer is yes, with some caveats. So my experience with Golf Plus was mostly using their Pro Putt features. So it's essentially mini golf, and you could play with your friends and listen to music and be on a tropical island playing mini golf, and it was awesome. Well, over the course of the last couple of years, they've really focused on playing full rounds of golf and making it the best golf experience in VR. And in order to devote the resources to that, unfortunately, they got rid of that mini golf feature, which I'm not gonna lie, I kind of miss. I hope they bring it back. But what they've been able to do is pretty incredible. And so the first time you jump into the program and all of a sudden you're looking around and you're like, whoa, I'm standing at the clubhouse at Pinehurst number 2. This is pretty wild. It's a pretty cool experience. When you're standing on the first tee at Pebble Beach and you're holding your virtual driver and you can see it moving, it's pretty wild. You swing, you make good contact. If you got a slice in real life, you're probably gonna have a slice in the video game. It's that realistic. So yes, many elements of it do feel real, but the hang up is this. So you've got 2 Quest controllers, and swinging this, it just doesn't really feel like you're swinging a golf club. And that's kind of the giveaway that you're not actually playing golf. Well, that's where this comes in. There are a whole bunch of VR golf grips out there where you connect your Quest controller and all of a sudden it feels more like you're holding a real club. It's a full golf grip. It's got a little bit of weight to it. And with the haptic feedback built into the controller, when you hit the ball, there's actually feedback. There's a vibration. So it feels like you're actually making contact with something. So in order to make it really feel like you're playing golf, you're probably gonna wanna pick up one of these, which is an extra $50, but really makes the experience more worthwhile. So what's it actually like to use Golf Plus? What can you do? Well, let's pop into the system and I'll walk you through the menus and some of the game modes and I'll show you.
All right, so when you step to the course and you start looking around, I mean, this is pretty cool. You've got this great menu here, which gives you all sorts of options. So you can go quick play, you can see the tournaments, you can do online battles, daily challenges, which are really cool. Single player mode, where you can do closest to the pin, you can practice. Let's say you want to do a round, Pinehurst number 2, you can change all of the settings, which is very cool. The selection of courses is pretty awesome. You can also do Topgolf, which is super cool. So if you're into Topgolf, this legit feels like the same thing. So you can use all of those different modes. You can get together with your friends if you want to do something more casual rather than, the playing a full round. But I mean, look at this. Like how cool is this?
So here's the thing about VR. It's not quite mainstream yet, so a lot of the apps that are out there feel a little buggy, they feel a little homemade, they don't feel very polished. Golf Plus is not that. It's been around for at least like 4 or 5 years in one form or another, and so they have really got this thing dialed. It feels like a fully legitimate golf sim VR experience, what have you. So there's a whole bunch of game modes. Most simple, play golf. You pick the course you want to play, you can set the settings, like what do you want the weather to be like, time of day, green speeds, you can choose your difficulty. So if you want things like putting, aiming lines, or breaks, or you want to see the shot tracer, you can add all that in. Or if you want a totally pure golf experience and you just want to rely on your VR golf skills, you can put it in pro mode where you're not going to get any of that. You can then go play full rounds of VR golf either by yourself or with friends. We're gonna get to that in a second, but that's really where this game shines. Even though you can play 18 holes super quickly in like 20 or 30 minutes, if that's not your thing, there's a whole bunch of extra modes. There's daily and weekly challenges for driving, approach, putting, chipping. There's mini games, there's closest to the pin. As I mentioned, there's even Topgolf. So you can go to Topgolf Vegas, play with your friends or by yourself on some of the most popular Topgolf games, and it honestly feels a lot like the real thing. It's pretty cool. And like I said, they're continually updating this game. So recently the US Open was held at Pinehurst. Well, Pinehurst number 2 is one of the courses you can play within the game. So one of the challenges they had that week was to relive Martin Kaymer's best moments from when he dominated the field in 2014. So it'll put you in the exact spot he was and say, hey, you have to make a birdie just like he did. So you have to hit a good approach and then make your putt. Or you have to get this shot within 10 feet, just like he did. And so you can sit there and practice these shots and get stars based on your performance. It really is kind of addicting, and I've spent more time doing that than I care to admit. But honestly, the best part about this is being able to golf with your buddies when you can't golf with your buddies. Like even for me, it's peak golf season. It's the middle of summer, but if I want to go golf with friends, that's still at least a 5 or 6 hour commitment. I usually golf during the week. A lot of my friends only golf on the weekends. So trying to coordinate schedules and make it happen, it just doesn't happen as much as I would like. Whereas we can both put on our headsets, go play Pebble Beach together, be walking down the fairways, listening to music, chatting, catching up, playing golf, making fun of each other. It really does take all the social aspects of golf and gives you a very similar experience. And I honestly wasn't expecting it to feel quite so realistic in that manner. Where this whole realistic, immersive golf experience does start to crumble a little bit comes down to the graphics. So when you jump in, while if you've never been in VR before, you're looking around, you're like, this is crazy. It's still not like you're playing GS Pro, or it's not like you're playing EA Sports PGA Tour on your PlayStation 5. Like the graphics are not at that level. I mean, for all intents and purposes, this is a mobile device, and VR games just aren't that powerful graphically yet. The good news is what it lacks in that graphic fidelity, it makes up for in that immersive experience. So honestly, I was expecting the graphics to bother me, but they really don't. When you're walking down the course and you're hitting these shots and you're talking to your friends, like, it's just cool. If you're someone who doesn't have a lot of friends that golf or have VR headsets, never fear, there's a lot of options for you as well. First off, the single player game is great. The more you play, the more challenges you do, the more points you get. And you're going to level up. In doing that, you get experience credits. As you get experience credits, you can use that to buy equipment and gear. And they have a bunch of real world balls, clubs, gear from TaylorMade, Callaway, and a bunch of other brands. So if you're the type of person that really likes to grind and level up and unlock those things, there's plenty for you to do here. And if you're not the person that likes to do that and you'd rather just buy the clubs you want, well, of course, you can use real world money to buy fake world stuff too. But along with that, if you don't have friends that have headsets, but you still like the idea of a social nature, there's Tour Plus. So this is essentially just like a VR PGA Tour, where there's daily and weekly challenges and tournaments, and you compete in them and you get points, and you're gonna move up and down the leaderboard depending on how you do. There are a whole bunch of different tiers, so as you get better, you're gonna move up a tier and face better competition, or if you struggle, then you'll move down and face other people that are also moving down. The course selection is honestly way better than I expected it to be. So in my written review, I'll link to the full list of courses, which they're updating on a regular basis, but I mean, we're talking some of the best of the best. Pebble Beach, Riviera, the old course at St. Andrews, Wolf Creek, which is like, should be a video game golf course. The fact that course even exists in real life is pretty wild. And one of my biggest surprises was the fact they included Yale. Yale is one of the most underrated golf courses in the world. It was designed by Seth Rayner back in the 20s. It's got all sorts of cool template holes. It's a beautiful setting, and it's a course that most people are probably not familiar with, let alone have played. And I gotta tell you, it's just as cool in VR as it is in real life. They also include the Butler Park Pitch and Putt, which is a 9-hole pitch and putt course in Austin because the team behind the game is from Austin, and there's a bunch of cool local stuff going on there. So the fact they included this kind of obscure par 3 course and even got things like the train going by in the background, which is something that happens at the course, I mean, That's pretty cool. So the team is not only focused on the details, they're also rolling out regular updates, which is great to see. When it comes to that course selection, I've got some good news, some bad news, and then a little more good news. So as I mentioned, the good news is they have a ton of excellent courses. The bad news is you gotta pay for those separately. The base game only comes with 3 courses that aren't actually real-life courses, but they are based off real-life golf courses. Most of the courses cost like 10 to 15 bucks to buy on their own, and so that's gonna be a bummer for some people. But don't worry, there's more good news because there are ways to play the courses even if you don't buy them. So for instance, if you're playing with a friend who has bought them and they invite you to a game, cool, you can play the course. It's just like if your friend was a member at a country club and they invited you to their course to come play. You can do that. You can also go into quick play mode where it's going to randomly assign a course to you, which could be any of the courses that are available. And then finally, if you're competing in the Tour Plus modes, the daily and weekly challenges are held across all these other golf courses as well. So if you compete in those, you can play new golf courses there. So you don't have to buy all the courses if you don't want to. There's still plenty of ways to play them. One other thing I'll mention, as I'm sure you probably could have guessed, they do have a subscription available. So with the subscription, you pay either 10 bucks a month or 80 bucks a year, and you get unlimited access to all the courses and all the new courses that come out. So if you really get into Golf Plus, 80 bucks a year, like that actually feels pretty reasonable for what you get, but I know subscriptions kind of suck and it just kind of comes with the territory. So now that we've talked all about the game, let's talk about whether or not you should buy this, or either. Let's start with basics. A lot of people already have Quest 2 headsets. If you already have one of these, I don't think there's a big reason to upgrade. I will say playing Golf Plus in the newer Quest 3, it looks better, it runs better, but it wasn't the dramatic difference that I was maybe expecting. And that's not a knock on the 3, that's more of a testament to how good the 2 actually looks. So if you already have the 2, unless you want to upgrade for other reasons, I don't necessarily think you need to do so. If you don't have either of these yet and you're trying to figure out which one to buy, well, there's a few things to consider. The first, obviously, is price. The 2 starts out at $199, whereas the 3 starts out at $499. That's a pretty big difference, especially when you also factor in the $50 grip, buying the game for $15 or $30, depending on whether or not you use a coupon code. You know, there's some added expenses that go into it. Casual experience, if you just put on the 2 and then you put on the 3 and you're just kind of doing the same things, you're not going to notice a whole lot that's going to be different. Yes, the 3 has a wider field of vision. Yes, the 3 has better graphics. It's more clear, and it has much better pass-through mode. So you can actually put on the 3 and walk around your house and see what you're doing in color, whereas with the 2, they're black and white cameras that really aren't very good, and they're mostly just there to make sure you don't run into something. If you're really thinking about getting into VR and you want to play more games, or you want to be able to work in VR, or you want to be able to watch Netflix in VR, then it's probably worth buying the 3. I will say, the other night I watched a full movie on Netflix on the Quest 3, and it looked good. Like it was a pretty cool experience. It was definitely multiple notches above the experience with the 2. But if all you're looking to do is play some golf and socialize with your friends, the 2 is going to get you there. It's going to be just fine. And if you decide to upgrade down the road, great. But I don't think you need to have the Quest 3 if you want to enjoy your Golf Plus experience. In fact, from what I've been told, 70% of current Golf Plus users are using the Quest 2. Hey, Editing Sean here, and of course, since I recorded this video, some things have changed. The Quest 2 is now mostly sold out online. You can find it on Amazon for like $250, $260, but it seems like they're paving the way for the new Quest 3S, which is going to be a more budget-friendly version of the Quest 3. So I had a whole comparison between should you buy the Quest 2 or the Quest 3, and honestly at this point the Quest 2 is seeming less and less like an option, so if you want to go the more budget-friendly route, it might be worth holding off to see what happens when they release the new Quest 3S. But I still want to make it clear, if you have a Quest 2, Golf Plus still works and is excellent on it. And if you have a Quest 3, it's even better, but either will work. We're almost done here, but let's talk a couple downsides. The biggest downside I've personally had to golfing in VR is when I use it a bunch for a few days and then I go back and try and play golf for real. After having a couple 1 to 2 hour sessions a few days in a row and then going back to the range, my real clubs felt heavy. Because I'm so used to swinging this VR club, which is super light, going back and having real clubs, it's like, whoa, this feels kind of bizarre. And you get over it in a few minutes, but it was just like, oh, if you use this a bunch and then you go back and play real golf, like there is a little calibration you need to do. Also, one of the nice things about Golf Plus is there isn't a whole lot of movement. It's not like you're playing a first-person shooter where you're constantly like moving around or whatever. But one of the inherent issues with VR is it can cause some motion sickness. So if you're someone who's really prone to vertigo, motion sickness, getting dizzy, then there is a chance you might have issues with this, and that's just something to keep in mind. One other kind of downside, I guess, is, and this is just inherent pretty much with all VR, is there's the possibility you're going to knock something over, hurt yourself, or put a hole in something. Well, I've got a pretty good sized house. I don't necessarily have a huge open space where I can constantly be swinging and doing whatever I want without a little bit of concern that I'm going to hit something. Especially once you've been in VR for a while and you really start to think that, oh, this is my life now. This is just where I am. I'm not sitting here in my office with a bunch of crap everywhere. Every once in a while you might move around, get disoriented, and, knock your TV over or something. The good news is the Quest is really good at helping you set up boundaries, and when you go through your virtual boundary, it'll show you a giant grid and let you know that's happening. But if you get a little overzealous on a swing, you might go through it and not even realize it was happening. Or if you didn't set up your play space properly to begin with, there might be a spot where you take a swing and you basically just hit a wall. That certainly hasn't happened to me. I would know nothing about that. Okay, long video, but there's a lot to cover because this is just kind of like wild tech. This is unlike anything we've talked about here. Should you buy Golf Plus? Do you already have a Quest? Then yes, go buy Golf Plus. It's one of the best VR experiences you can have regardless of whether you have the Quest 2 or 3. And as I mentioned, if you use the coupon code below, you will save 50%. So instead of $30, it's only $15. At that price, it's honestly a no-brainer. Should you go out and buy a Quest just to play Golf Plus? Well, that's kind of up to you. Do you have friends that are doing it? Are they already doing it and you want to go join them? Then yes, it's absolutely worth going to do it. Are you the one that's instigating it and you're trying to get some of your friends to go do it? Well, if you think they're on board, then yes, you should. Are you looking to make new friends and compete online, or just compete against yourself in a way that you can level up repeatedly as you would a typical golf or RPG game? Honestly, it's worth it. It's a great experience. If you're still not sure about VR as a whole, or if you're on a budget, just go get the Quest 2. You don't need to spend the extra money. If you have a Quest 2 and you're wondering if you need to upgrade in order to get Golf Plus, no, you don't need to. But if you're kind of all in on VR and you think you're going to use it for entertainment and work and play and socializing, then the Quest 3 is definitely going to be the way to go. I have found since getting my Quest 3 a few months ago, I continue to find things that excite me, and I continue to use it more and more as I find new things it can do. Long story long, Golf Plus is awesome. It doesn't totally feel like real golf, but it gets you close enough and it hits all the most important points to allow you to have a really enjoyable golf-like experience. So if you think you're going to like it, then chances are you're probably going to like it. So my name is Sean Ogle. I'm the founder of this thing here at Breaking 80. If you want more information, then I've got a written review that covers a few things that I might have missed on this. It's also where I'm going to be able to easily make updates as they roll out new features, or if I learn new things, that's where you're going to get the latest information. So if you're watching this 6 months after I publish it, go check out that written review to see if there was anything that I missed on here. And with that, I hope you have an excellent day. Peace.